some arguments that that have been presented that are fairly convincing arguments that there is a constitutional legal footing for this to happen, and that there are precedents that, when compiled together, would make that a viable argument.
Well, the case really turns upon two issues. One is whether or not the federal government, Congress, is obligated under the Utah enabling legislation that created Utah as a state to extinguish or dispose of the federal lands that it has retained since statehood. And the second question is, if there is indeed an obligation, then does Congress have the authority, as it has through ordinary legislation, the Federal Land Policy Management Act particularly, to ignore or overturn that obligation? That authority of Congress turns upon its authority under the Property Clause of the U.S. Constitution, and the Supreme Court has said that that power is basically without limitation. So it is an extraordinarily powerful authority to oversee, dispose of if it chooses, or otherwise retain and manage the federal lands.
We've obviously debated this issue with Professor Kiter before, and he has talked about the fact that all western states have the same, all these arid states have the same language in their enabling documents. And you've pointed out that their eastern states have the same basic language. What would be the difference?
Good question. Promises are the same. And so what really set this off, Chad, was in 2009 there's a unanimous Supreme Court opinion that says Congress doesn't have the authority to simply change that uniquely sovereign character of our enabling act, our statehood, particularly where all of our public lands are at stake. And then there's other Supreme Court cases, Utah versus Andrus, where the Supreme Court has called these enabling acts solemn compacts, something way more than just a contract. It's a contract between sovereigns that they said that has rights and obligations that are enforceable on both sides. And that's all we're looking at, is just keep the same promise. And we'd much rather have a negotiated, orderly transfer, keep the national parks off the table, monuments, wilderness, protect those for everyone, and continue to maintain those in that standpoint. But honor your promise, just like you kept with Louisiana and Alabama and Nebraska and North and South Dakota. They have the exact same language in their statehood documents.